Hi everybody. Welcome to this evening's Scottish Dowsers chat. And I'm very pleased that this evening we have our very special guest from Canada, the wonderful Susan Collins. Now, I've known Susan, we just worked out before we started, I've known Susan since 2011. When I was president of the BSD, I invited Susan to come over and give us a talk. And we've been kind of working together ever since. So I was over at the Canadian conference in 2012 and the American conferences subsequently. So we've known each other a long time. And I've given Susan a tour of Scotland when she came here. And yeah, well, we've been all over. We go back away, let's just say that. So
we did a world tour in 2016.
Yeah, and the world, yeah,
between us,
we did the world
we covered the
tour.
world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dowsing the world since 2014, it says in the back of the show. So
2014.
2014. So okay, so if everybody with that introduction, if everybody's got their pendulums ready, I will hand you over to Susan Collins.
Okay, thank you very much. Perhaps folks could mute themselves for now. What I have planned is a PowerPoint presentation. There'll be chances to douse as you go along, and then we'll leave room for questions at the end. So if folks can just put themselves on mute, that will be good. And then you can put questions in the chat, and maybe Graham can amalgamate them.
Yep.
And okay, so we're ready to go. I'm going to share my screen. And this meeting is being recorded. And you're telling me that you can see the screen?
Yep.
All righty. Thank you. Well, I'm truly honored to be here. My mother's people are from Scotland, and I've got the Scottish, English rose, Scottish rose kind of complexion and all that. So I'm just honored to be here. So reverse aging with dowsing, also, it's for those younger folk who aren't so old yet. We want to slow biological aging. So as we get the end of life, we want to reverse the aging. But as we're coming up through our years, we'd like to slow the biological aging to increase your health span. So this is my mother, like 80 years apart. And she taught me a lot of things about aging. So I'm happy to share some of those. So we see here a picture. There's Graham in the background and myself, and I'm being given the name here, carrier of the sacred water woman, and Graham is carrier of the sacred fire. So we are honored to be brother and sister in that. Together we have internationaldosers.org, and we've been working together a long time, bringing European and North American traditions and male and female, yin and yang sorts of energies into the kinds of things that we do. I also have studied in the native North American tradition. As one of my teachers, Many Horses. About 20 years ago, I did an initiation with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I've studied in the Celtic tradition and the Kabbalistic tradition, and I'm currently a metaphysical minister. I am required by law to say that my religion is metaphysics. And I think that's what we're all doing, is studying the nature of reality. Some of us are experience things that are beyond the ken, and we're trying to figure it all out. So for me, I'm just going to close off the meeting controls there. For me, I came in as clairsentient, and I seriously, I played in a stool. That's not a picture of me because they hadn't invented color photography back then, but I would get into a stool and I would kind of hide in there. So there was no discussion for me growing up about what these things were around me, but I could feel things. I was afraid of the dark until I was 45 years old. Meanwhile, I had a big corporate career. And then when I was 29 in 1982, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and food sensitivities. It took me a while to find dosing, and that was life-changing. And I want to talk today about how I was able to improve my health with dosing and also with some common sense types of things. So I've been drug-free for 20 years. I was on methotrexate, prednisone, chloroquine, diclofenac. Steroid shots, everything. I raised my children with splints on my hands. It was tough. A lot of people come to this work through physical illness or emotional trauma. So, the people who come to this work without trauma God bless you. You know, you're the lucky ones. Along the way, I determined that the autoimmune disorders can be the self not recognizing the self. And that was true in my case. As this clairsentient thing that felt things, I was trying to be also like a normal person. And that's still the challenge for me in everyday life. You know, sometimes I'm Susan and sometimes I'm this other uh, clairvoyant, clairsentient kind of thing. So just to carry on, and I recovered largely from the arthritis. And then in 2022, just 3 years ago, I was told by a doctor not to walk or be weight bearing because I had severe osteoarthritis in my foot. And, you know, to quote my mother, who you saw there at the beginning, she lived a long time. She said, I don't know how to give up. She wanted to die, I think, but she said, I don't know how to give up. And so I think I inherited some of that. Being told not to walk or be weight bearing, I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. So I hit the gym and just this year I came first in a world indoor rowing championship for a woman my age and set two world records for a woman my age on the skier piece of gym equipment. So it's remarkable, honestly. Even for me, it's like hard to believe this stuff happened. Through my journey, I've written a ton of books. The Get Healthy book and the Get Happy with Dowsing describe a lot of what I'm going to describe tonight. So it's the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. And the Get Healthy book is available on Amazon. Also, I developed the life cards, which are a guide to your life path. It's a multiple card system. And so I took the liberty this morning of asking what would be the most appropriate card to bring out at the beginning of this presentation. And what came out was the card Hide. Obscuring the facts prolongs the agony. And I thought, and this is the blue, and it's with regard to the throat chakra. So it's basically not communicating our truth, not speaking our truth. And in terms of reverse aging and health, a lot of people are afraid to express what's really going on. And I'm not suggesting people complain, how are you? And then say every little thing that hurts. But to be honest with yourself, with your doctor, with your friends, and I firmly believe now that sharing our experiences can really help. And you try something. People, it's just normalizing the aging process, if you will. Like there's no shame in having a physical ailment. There's no shame in having the wrinkles. So the theme is perhaps let's not hide where we are and let's not hide who we are. So for me, dosing is applied consciousness. There's lots of definitions of it, but for me, it's as an engineering is applied science, dosing is applied consciousness. And we detect and transform energy. So this shot was taken at one of the American Society of Dowsers conferences. We come together in groups and the energy produces alternate realities. So that's an orb, and I do other talks on orbs, but we're working with energy. Now, this is a fun piece. This is not related precisely to what we're talking about tonight, but synesthesia, which some of you may be synesthesias. You could put this in the chat if you are. What is that? It means that when you hear something, you might see a color, or when you see something, you might hear music. So it's the crossing of the senses, synesthesia. For me, electromagnetic fluctuation is how we are interpreting the universe. So I personally I hear, I see, I know things. And how is that possible? It's because these subtle electromagnetic variations get interpreted into pictures. So it's called electromagnetic synesthesia. So if you go home tonight and people think, what are you, some kind of weirdo? You say, no, I'm a synesthetist. And Boston University has studied this, and I'm happy to report that it's not a disease, that several researchers have shown that synesthesia can perform better on tests of memory and intelligence, and we are not mentally ill. And we test negative on scales that check for schizophrenia, psychosis, delusions, and other disorders. So I remember when I first started coming out as a dowser, then and people asked me, my best friend asked me if I had considered getting counseling. So we can say, no, we truly, and especially with children or your grandchildren, we truly experience these things, and it is not a psychosis. It is a crossing of the senses. So I like that piece of information very much. It normalizes us. The word panpsychism, consciousness is a feature of all things, and I believe that's true. Everything has consciousness. What's cool is that we are meeting electronically live. Later, it'll be on Facebook on a recording, but there is still a presence of consciousness, no matter whether we are in person or meeting electronically as we are. And with dowsing, I'm going to keep hiding these meeting controls that keep popping back up. With dowsing, we can communicate with all things and with all times. So it's, for me, the most powerful modality that there is. All we really need is the clear, focused mind, the quiet mind. That can be the hardest thing to get at. So a little bit of science, because I teach in different cultures, so I don't teach based on any religion. We teach on science, and I know Graham also has a science-based approach to things. The quantum physics, the quantum wave is the realm of possibilities. There's only one wave in the universe. And as the wave collapses, it creates physical reality. And how do we collapse the wave? You can do it with dowsing. It's the intense focus on an outcome that can create the thing. So that's how it's working. And keep hiding these floating meeting controls. Dowsing collapses the quantum wave. So there's some science for you. And I love that part. So I invite you to pick up your pendulums and let's do a little practice. And you don't have to do this. You can take this as information. I guess it will be on a recording. But, in this 45 minutes, however long we have, we can actually change things. You could actually change some things. We will see. So I invite you to pick up your pendulum and say, pendulum, show me my yes. Pendulum, show me no. And for those, I'm sure most of you dowse already, but if not, just do what you can. Learn to dowse and then come back. The yes and no is informational, but with the dowsing, we have the power to disconnect energies, non-beneficial energies, and transform them into beneficial. So I invite you to pick up your pendulum and say, pendulum, show me the signal for disconnecting. Let that happen. For me, it's the same as my no. I do this, before every session. Maximize, say, pendulum, please show me the motion for maximizing. For me, that's the same as my yes. And your responses may be different than somebody else's. The point 2 is very important. Whoops, let's see if I can get this out here. To point to things. If you're doing a water well, for example, you can say, please point in the direction I need to walk. Or if you're doing one of these little plus minus cards, you say, please point to the line and number that best represents the answer. For me, there's plus 10 to minus 10. Because it's important also to acknowledge that there could be bad consequences of things. Drinking vinegar is going to be likely a minus 10. Drinking pure water is likely to be a plus 10 for you. The other thing we like to look at is electrical charge. So I'm a real stickler for wording. And if I say positive, I mean positive electrical charge. So I invite you to pick up your pendulum, show me positive electrical charge. And conversely, show me negative electrical charge. For me, my negative is the same as my no and disconnect. My positive is the same as yes and maximize. So when people, honestly, here's a word thing that's important to me, that if you ask to disconnect negative energy from your body, you are shifting your body's polarity. So we know the body is meant to be in a certain balanced electromagnetic state. And if your words say, take out the negative energy or increase the positive energy, you may be shifting out your balance. This is just an aside here. Some people also ask to move themselves into the, quote, higher frequencies, which it's a very common thing. I have done a lot of work with the alien people at alien conferences. And I remember speaking at an alien conference once, and 2 people came up to me after and said that they had been possessed by an alien during my presentation. what had actually happened was I had brought it to their consciousness and then it had dispersed. The thing in common with both of those people, they both women, they were both professional singers and they were both sopranos. So their frequencies were extremely high. So I invite you, rather than moving yourselves into higher frequencies, move yourself into the most appropriate frequency. And this is very true for body health as well, neurological development. The most appropriate frequencies for me, say your own name, so I can experience perfect health in all aspects of my day. There's the plus minus chart. You can use your hand if you don't have one of those. So let's get down to it. Reverse aging or increasing health span. So there's a couple of ways to do that. One is to heal the body you have now. The second is to create a healthier body than you had before. So are they the same thing? No, they're slightly different. So let's say you've got a cold, you can heal your cold, but now you want to actually go back and change all your body systems. And then plan to age well. So again, my mother, and there's her, this is seriously at 102, where she's just being, but then she finds joy. I look at her, she finds joy and she's happy. So it's in what aspects of your life can you experience joy? I won't say anything more about that right now. So let's be real. We come in with a certain set of genetics, and I believe, honestly, I believe it's possible to change our genetics, but our starting point is different for everybody. There's the genetic thing we come in with. We have our life experiences. This is the epigenetic aspect. It's the environment. If you're living in a part of the world that is in distress, then your life will be a different experience than if you're living in a part of the world where you have prosperity and opportunities. So those are factors. We make choices, and I say everything is a choice. I remember saying to a friend once that we can choose what we eat, and she said, "Oh, no, you can't." So she was overcome with like her microbiome. As you probably know, there are more messages coming up from your gut, your microbiome, more of those messages coming up than the one coming down. So our brain has a heck of a time to silence the non-beneficial microbiome. More on that later. Actions we take, and it's time, it's budget, opportunity. Again, we're all in different states, but do the work however you can and dose the rest. So I've worked professionally, I have many clients, and I have generally found, honestly, that when clients have a consistent practice, and I offer a dosing protocol, which I'm going to share with you, that protocol's got everything with the kitchen sink. And I thank all my teachers who have helped me shape that. But, do the work that you can and then dose everything that you can't physically do. So the keys to reverse aging. And now I invite you to pick up your pendulums, whatever you're using, and ask, do I get enough exercise? Do I get enough sleep? Do I get enough nutrition? Is my emotional health in a beneficial state? Am I helping others? Honestly, my healing, my self-healing, a lot of it has come through service, because for years, when my hands were cramped up, I would say, "Dear God, please heal me." After 20 years of having arthritis, I thought, oh, I'll do a ceremony, an ending of my 20 years of arthritis, and then it'll go away. And none of that worked until and here's a native phrase that sums it up. It's heal me if there's anything wrong and give me the wisdom to share. So I finally said, give me the functional and financial resources so that I can help people. And in those words and moments, that's when I started traveling the world. Setting intention is huge. I remember back in maybe 2009, a long time ago, I set my intention that I wanted to travel the world, teach dosing, and get paid. And within 3 months, I was dosing in the Middle East. And it was like, whoa. So set your intention, focus on it, before you set it completely, just to make sure it's the best one for you. And then when you get the response, the universe response, the universe supports you. I could easily, for that Kuwait thing, I never even spoke to my host. I just got on a plane and went over there. And it's trust. So when you set your intention and fully commit and check with your dosing, am I safe? Is it safe to make this choice? Then everything falls in line. So once you, we talked earlier about the self not recognizing the self. Once you are in alignment with yourself, then things do seem to come together very nicely. But helping others is a huge one, the service. So as mentioned, dosing to get enough sleep. Now, sleeping aids, apparently, if you take a sleeping pill, during sleep, there's certain processes that take place in our brain that clean things out, which are very important. Apparently, I've heard that when we take a sleeping pill, that does not happen. The nutrition, and I have to say it, as we get older, especially women, we're not eating enough protein. And the rule of thumb is about 1 gram of protein for a pound of body weight. So let's say you weigh 120 pounds. You should be eating about 120 grams of protein. That's an enormous amount of protein. An egg only has 6 grams. So I invite you to dose. Say your own name. Am I eating enough protein? I had one client who said she only got her protein from smoked salmon, which would be very tasty, but you got to fuel the body, especially, now that, well, let's say we have some issues with our physical regeneration, our heart. You've maybe got a weak heart valve, or some part of your body that is starting to atrophy. If you don't give it the protein, it's not going to rebuild. Carbohydrates give you the energy to get up in the morning and go. The protein builds the body. So, and the National Food and Drug people will say that the number is about half that, well, like 0.5 of a gram. So just look at your protein dose. Am I getting enough? I add protein powder to things, and protein bars, and then a handful of nuts and stuff. Mostly the carbs aren't going to build. Carbs give you energy. Now, this is the simple way to do it. Get out of breath a couple of times a week. They're saying 150 minutes. I invite you to dose. Am I getting enough endurance, strength training? Am I, say your own name, getting enough endurance training, which is like the heart and lungs? Because as we get older, it's harder to climb up the steps. One of my close friends, she was visiting someplace, and the step to get into the facility was about a foot, and she didn't think she could do it. And she's 72. But and I think the other thing we lose is the ability to jump. You see kids skipping and jumping. So I invite you to dose. Am I, say your own name, getting enough exercise? It's tough. Social engagement, very important. Service to something. And it doesn't have to be people. It could be animals. It could be picking up some garbage. It's like, dear God, make me strong so that I can help others, is a good question. So for me, because I'm doing these crazy world record things, it's make me strong so that I can demonstrate the mind-body connection of rebuilding a crippled body to set world records. And I still, going down every step, my knees hurt, my wrists hurt, like everything hurts still. And yet I get into that place in the gym, and I surrender to the greater energy, if you will. I talk about it, refer to it as going inner. So, I'm doing weights in the gym, I'm exhausted, and then I go to the inner place, which is the mind-body connection, and then I can keep going. I can be stronger, which it's just proof, right? Dowsing the mind-body connection. Okay, so let's get down to your stuff. Think of your issue. So this could be if you're feeling some decline in some area, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, energetic. And the sigh is when we change brainwave states. But I invite you to think of something that you would like to work on, either to reverse your condition to a healthier state or to slow down an aging process. So, you got your issue. Then we're going to dose the source of the symptoms. So you can dose symptoms like if you've got a stomach ache, well, what's the source? Is it because I ate too much? Is it because I'm worried? Is it, what's going on? So the source of the symptom. So you've got your issue, and write this down. Or come back and listen to it again and write it all down. So what time frame is the source of the symptom? Is the source of the symptom in the past? Is the source of the symptom in the present? Is the source of the symptom in the future? So for future stuff, that can be worrying about things in the future. If you found the source of your symptom is in the past, ask, is it in this lifetime or is it in a previous lifetime? Because our cellular memory can reach back a long way. Our genetic makeup, our genes, my people come from Scotland, and I've got that genetic heritage. So it's well, I could say more about that, but I won't. But check those things. Now, dimension is the source of your symptom in a standard dimension or an other dimension. And don't worry about what I mean by that. But is the source of the symptom standard? Is the source of the symptom in a standard reality or other reality? These are really broad slashes to work with. And the frequency. Is the frequency, is the source of the symptom a frequency, and the frequency is too low, just right, or too high? So the easiest things to work on are if your symptoms are in the present standard dimension and reality and your frequencies are okay. Because then if not, you may be dealing with some energetic stuff. This is a bit odd to say, but we're recording, but I will say, because I'm guided to say it, that in my practice, I find many people who have what I call an extra consciousness. And I invite you to dose now. Do I, say your own name, have an extra consciousness in my field on average? We say on average, because that's a big catchment. Do I, say your own name, have an extra consciousness in my field on average? And if you get a yes on that, I invite you to dose. Is this other extra consciousness trying to adapt my physical body to meet its needs? I think there's a few people like that. We'll talk. Put stuff in the chat, and we'll have questions at the end. Anyway, there's a whole range of things from the simple to the complex. Okay, continuing, find the source of symptoms. Think of your issue and dose. Is the source physical? Again, thinking of the stomach ache. If the source of the symptom, stomach ache, is physical, it's because you ate something that didn't agree. Is the source mental? Source of the symptom mental? It's perhaps a worry. It's like, how am I going to afford that thing? Is the source of the system emotional? It's like, oh, I'm so upset with that person. I can't stand it. And then you find your body systems are shutting down. Is the source spiritual? And this can be a disconnect from one's own spiritual connection. So people, for example, who are raised in a spiritual tradition and who have left that tradition may have that deep-seated feeling that God does not forgive them. So they're suffering from that sort of aspect. And then the last one is energetic. Is the source of the symptom energetic? And if you get a yes on that one, that's where the playtime is, where we're dealing with other dimensions, other realities, other energies. But just, you just keep track of everything. What I like to do, because we can get quite upset dosing these things, and we can get quite upset about our own issues. But if you keep that's why I like to write these books and the charts. You take a left brain approach to, here's the source of the symptoms, you write it down, and that helps your right brain from panicking. You say, no, I can do this. I'm gonna just proceed and figure it out. Okay, now I invite you to dose your body's physical age, and that's not how old you are. And you can either just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as the first number, or 1 to 9, or you can use your plus minus chart, just one number. So what I invite you to do is, what is the first number of your body's physical age? And make a note of that. Not how old you are. And what is the second number? Maybe there's not a second number. Probably is. And then if there's a third number, dose the third number of your body's physical age. So for me, at 30, I was geriatric. So my body's physical age in my 30s was of a person in their 70s, and I dosed that years back. And just this morning, I dosed, well, how am I doing on that? And just to inspire you, my chronological age is 72. I dose now at a physical age of 51, which is pretty good. And I can feel that too. I can feel that. Now, I invite you to dose. Can you create your body to become physically younger and healthier? Can you create your body to become physically younger and healthier? And then another fun one here. What physical age is healthiest and possible for you? So let's say you're 60 and you dose your physical age is 53. And then you would dose, well, what could I achieve? 42. So for me, and I'm quite, I'm a bit gobsmacked by this. What physical age is healthiest and possible for me? This morning when I dosed, I got to 36. Except I was pretty crippled at 36. So maybe that's not the best. I've got to think about that one. But the point is to try to determine what's your physical age. And is it possible to get younger? And how much younger can you get? Okay, your soul. This is not religion, but I invite you to dose what percent of your authentic soul is in your body now. And if you don't have the little plus minus, you can just go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, etc. What percent of your authentic soul meant for your body is in your body now? And then what percent of your authentic soul is in your body on average? So I often find when we do the dosing work, and all the bad stuff just takes off and then maybe comes back when the session is over. So when we say on average, we dose on average, you get that whole catchment. And with the dosing protocol, which I will share, once that stuff is out of you, then the protocol helps build the barriers so it doesn't get back in. Okay, let's do mental. And what's the first number of your mental age? What's the second number? Is there a third number? Check for that. And then I invite you to dose. Can you say your own name? Dose your body to become dose yourself to become mentally healthier? Yes or no? And then what mental age is healthiest? We all know people who seem very old before their time. They're not that old, but they say, oh, well, I'm old now and I can't do that. And one creates that age. The body, neuro-linguistic programming, your body is listening to your words and your brain is listening to it all. And if you have a non-beneficial self-image and self-talk, then that's what is going to be created. Since you're wondering, I got my mental age is 50 currently, but then I could go down to 25. I was pretty sharp at 25, I can tell you. I'm still pretty sharp. But this is something to work for. Like we need goals. For me, I gamify. Like this world record business, I am gamifying my workouts. I have benchmarks. Oh, I'm mental age 50 now, but I know I can do better. I can take care of myself. I can have nutrition. I can have protein. So it's important to set goals, have benchmarks, and know when you're making progress. So do your belief systems support your health? For example, if the thought, my parent died of X disease, disease. So I probably will too. You know, they say cancer runs in families. Even if the children are adopted, they will get the same, they may get the same cancer that their adopted parents. So was that a genetic thing? Was that biological? Was it epigenetic? They grew up with the belief, oh, my dad died at 68. Man, I'm probably checking out around then too. Um, what are we? So I invite you to dose. Do my belief systems support my good health and reverse aging? Do my belief systems say your own name? So neuroplasticity, that concept has been around for a long time. What catchphrases, what fires together, wires together. You get what you think about, you create your reality. So just as we go to the gym for our bodies, we need to do something mentally. And they talk about doing uh, word puzzles or number puzzles or something. But you know, we could challenge ourselves to actually, I think being in service, sitting, that sounds rude, but sitting on your butt doing a crossword puzzle isn't really a service to humanity. I mean, I do it to relax, but then we got to get up and we got to do something. We've got to stretch our brains, and get, how can I help? Um, and it doesn't matter. I had one client who she didn't know what or who she would help. It turned out what her territory was to look after the spirits of roadkill cats, right? So she was looking after them and preparing them to move on. She had a bunch of cats herself, and that's like a very private thing. She never had to talk to anybody else or tell anybody else what it was doing, but she was very happy. Oh, you know what I'm doing? Because everything has consciousness. There's an authentic soul, and we know that not every soul transitions the way it's meant to. So I do ghost busting, alien busting, and it's basically just recognizing that the consciousness is there and asking, I see you there, can I help you? And we just get them what they need. So the amygdala, part of the brain, so there's a lot of emotionally traumatic memories stored up in the amygdala, which we don't remember. So talk therapy is not going to help. You're not going to remember it. You don't have the words, but dosing can bring it out. And once you bring that memory to conscious mind, you can disconnect it. I like to give examples. I had a client in her 50s, mid 50s, who woke up every 3 hours at night. I didn't know why. We went back with the dosing and found out that when she was about 3, she used to wet the bed and that she would wake up so that she wouldn't wet the bed. So then as an adult, we looked at that memory and said, well, you're not 3 years old and you have ways of controlling that impulse. And as far as I know, she slept better after that. So I invite you to dose. Do I have patterns, say your own name, do I have patterns stored in my amygdala that reduce my health? And we're going to disconnect all this stuff. But do I have patterns or associated with my amygdala? So my language, I have one client who says I speak Canadian. So my Canadian friends on the line will recognize my accent, but the words, put your own words in there that make sense to you. Do I have patterns stored in my amygdala that reduce my health and that prevent reverse aging? And there's a lot of deep-seated stuff back in there that we ask, whatever we disconnect and transform, we ask to do it at an appropriate rate and intensity so that it feels comfortable for us. And let me just hide this so you can read this a little better. Disconnect the cellular memory of past, current, and future life trauma. So it's as if, we say that a lot, it's as if we had past lives where we died horribly. And I remember teaching a class at the ASD, and somebody on this call might remember that class because they were in it. The class got divided up, and half the class said they had died horribly, and then the other half of the class were the ones that had killed them. So it was very unusual to have like the two halves of the puzzle in the same room. So we resolved that. And if anybody wants to put anything in the chat on that, you're welcome to. Anyway, and future life trauma. So sometimes our future lives are busybodies coming back. And I've never, I think I can say that I have never experienced any future life interference that helped in the present. But I may be wrong on that, and maybe that'll change. But the pain we go through is what builds us and who we are and our learning, and then we move on. One of my cousins said that he would kill himself, but then he'd have to come back and do it again. So he lived out his life and eventually died. And that's a terrifying, terrifying thought that you have to keep repeating it. Okay, so now we're in the protocol. Let's everybody drink a glass of water if you've got one. We're going to do this really fast. I have a bobber here, which you may or may not be able to see. And I'll send this if anybody wants a copy. It's a 2-page PDF, and I'll send it to anybody that wants it. So we balance the physical body. Before you have a dosing session, we want to be rested. You want to have water. The phone's not ringing. You don't have to rush off to work. You've got a bit of time. So balance the physical body. Connect to the self. And the word connect, I only use for, I'm just going to say it. I ask to connect with my physical body for my good health. And then my tool confirms that. I ask to connect with the intelligent and beneficial energies of nature. I ask to connect with my spirit team. I ask to connect with the divine source. And that's all I connect with. After that, I ask for the assistance of beneficial beings in resonance with each of us and the divine source, who can assist each of us gather accurate information to make good decisions and take appropriate actions that result in successful ongoing. It's kind of wordy, and people look at, oh my gosh, it's 2 pages, so many words. But I find if you get all the words in, there's no slippery slope. Some of you may have experienced, you get a clearing, then it comes back. There's no slippery slope in all of this. The forgiveness, Creator, forgive me, I forgive myself, I forgive all those who've harmed me, I release them from the body, mind, and spirit. I ask all those who I have harmed to release me so I am free. Doing this super fast, but it's going in to your energy field. Number 4, this is the power. Clear yourself of non-beneficial energies, bracket, not negative energies, non-beneficial. And there's way more words in the written PDF. But disconnect physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, in all dimensions, time frames, realities, and frequencies, known, unknown, hidden, secret, stealth, disguise, residual, fractal, fluctuating, reversed, non-beneficial energies, non-beneficial psychic cords, quantum connections, cellular memories, energy triggers. This is the speed class here. Normally we do this a lot longer. Number 5, we maximize. So earlier we were disconnecting. Remember, we practiced disconnect. Now for step 5, we're maximizing. We've pulled the plug on all the dirty water in the bathtub, and now we are bringing in beneficial energy. There's a sigh. So we are guided in our thoughts, actions, memories, words, beliefs, deeds, all aspects of our being to be in resonance with the divine source. So we can recognize, facilitate, create, and maintain ongoing successful outcomes for ourselves and in our territories. Now, I throw the word territories in there as a reminder. It's not just for you. When you ask for healing just for you, it's like, if you ask for healing so you can help others in your territory, and this is not necessarily your spouse, your grown children, or anybody. It's if we apply these dosing techniques to people without their permission, beyond the direct parent of about an 8 or 9-year-old, then we are violating their energy. We don't want to do that. But you can ask, you can say, may I do a healing prayer for you? And I have a Christian version of the protocol if that helps people. Anyway, you maximize the energy field. And then is the permission to dose. So you might ask now, do I have permission to use dosing tools to reverse my aging process and increase my health span? Permission. And if it says no, it just maybe no in that time, like not at this moment. The dosing is the easy part. Creating the ongoing matrix is an energy system. It's not just in the moment. It's an automatic system that automatically creates the conditions for reverse aging. Don't forget to disconnect at the end. You thank all the guides and beings that have been with you, and then communicating appropriately. So that's the protocol. So let's it has taken effect at some level for folk, but meanwhile, I invite you, if you want, to get back into your body. How do you do that? You can shake your arms and wrists. And, a lot of people can look at their chakras and ask, are there lower chakras connected into their body? And for a lot of us people who work in the energy realms, we're all up here and we're not rooted so much. But touching your body, I am safe, and you can say things. And this is energy medicine. I am safe in this moment. I have shelter. I have food. I'm loved. I love. So you want to get back into your body, hug and pat yourself, and say how safe you are. And Om is really good. So some of you may be practitioners, or for yourself, if you get into an emotional state, I find that doing an Om is just boom, brings you back in. So I don't know how this will work on the Zoom, but I'm gonna start an Om, and I know you're muted, so stay muted, but just do it in your own home. We'll do a brief Om together. I invite you to do a brief Om together. Oh. Swinging around here. Do that about 3 times. And I have used that if a child is crying, they'll start, oh, 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 and then the breath will come back. Inspiration. We're talking about inspiration. The breath comes back in. Inspire. Okay, moving on. Thinking of the source of your symptoms. You want to do some research and create a new body blueprint. So I was losing my hearing for a long time. And I did lose a lot of it, but I slowed down that process. But what you want to do is research the physiology. So the internet is full of pictures. You've probably got anatomy books. Like, really know what is like, for those of us who have lost hearing, did you know that birds and fish can regrow the cilia that carry the vibrations into our ears? And I think, if birds and fish can regrow that, if starfish and chameleons can regrow parts of the body, we should be able to regrow parts of our body too. And I firmly believe that. Looking at cellular memory, I invite you to dose. Is it true for you, true for me, say your own name, that I can regrow parts of my body that are damaged? So you want to research the physiology and then disconnect non-beneficial energies, processes, and the cellular memory of the old blueprint. And you just use step 4 on that. The protocol is very simple. And then you create the perfect blueprint. So you could ask, and just using hearing as the example, I ask to create the physiology within my body systems that permits me to efficiently and successfully hear what I need to hear so that I can serve others. Always add that bit in so that I can help my grandchildren, so I can help my neighbors, so I can help, calls for help, so that I am in tune with the world. For social engagement, as you lose your hearing, you lose connection. So that anyway, you get the idea on that. And then you activate it with the dowsing protocol, which we just did a copy of the dowsing protocol. And then it's the step 8 on the protocol is to create an ever-changing energy matrix that automatically refreshes this structure that you are building. So it's not one and done. It's something that one does daily or twice a day, or you create a physical representation of the thing you want and energize it every day. But it's still there. Okay, now we did this before. I invite you to do it again. Let's just see if it makes a difference. What's the first number of your body's physical age? And then what's the second number? We're just seeing differences here. Is there a third number? And then again, the question, can you create the body to become physically younger and healthier? and what physical age is possible. So this is, we've done this really quickly, but you might take your time and do it again. And when you really get yourself down and look at some of the tools that we've presented, you may, and put in the chat what you're getting, please. And then the same with the mental. What is the first number of your mental age? Second number. Is there a third number? Can you dose your body mind system to become mentally healthier? Yes, no. And what mental age is healthiest and possible? Okay, so I'm going to just pull into the life cards again. I'm going to put sorry, it was hide was the one that we got earlier. I'm just going to put it back in randomly and, do the elaborate shuffle and ask for what would be the most appropriate. Oh, and can you see this? It's reveal. Oh, losing the background then. Reveal the authentic self. It's the opposite of hide. That's extremely unlikely. This is how thick the deck is. And you can see I didn't look at anything where I put it. That was not sleight of hand. Anyway, we started with, hide your stuff, and we're talking reveal your stuff. The authentic self deserves a voice. So as we come into our elder years, let's have our authentic selves. That's never happened before with the same one came back reversed. So there it is. And a reminder, I have all the books. And on YouTube, I've got a lot of free and rental workshops, which are always good. And you can always find me out there in the world. Now I'm going to somehow stop my share. Or I have to hit escape. Stop the share. Right on. Okay, so are there questions or what's in the chat and all that kind of stuff?
Thank you, Susan. That, as always, was a perfect masterclass in applied practical dowsing.
Thank you.
I see a few messages in the chat about the age thing, but I don't see any other questions. So if you have a question, do you want to put your hand up? Somebody's asking for the PDF. How do they get the PDF of the protocol?
Just send me an email, susan@dowser.ca, and I think your contact information is in the email that went around. So what do people say about the age? Oh, Anne's got a thing, but what do people say?
Okay. Alex Russell Stoneham was 52. She is 52 chronological age, now 38. Possible age 33, 35.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it dropped pretty rapidly. I wasn't expecting that, Susan. I had no assumptions, but it was just very quick. I know we went through quite fast with your protocol, which is so clear anyway. So yeah, interesting stuff, eh? I've never looked at this aspect of
I know. Well, you're not old enough to look at it. As we get older, we go, holy moly, what am I going to do? I'm getting so old. So
it's
good.
really
Anybody
interesting because my mother has a real anti-aging mindset. She's like, I'm gonna fight this. I'm not gonna give in to aging, and she's been embattled with it, and it's not been the best fight, I must admit, because obviously, it's not nice to watch somebody fighting or resisting. And
well, she needs the tools then. How much protein does she eat?
I would say she's switching down from carbs, but she's definitely had more carbs and protein. And I think
so you don't build a body on carbs.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have a chat with her. I was having a catch up earlier, but I'm definitely gonna follow on with what you've been sharing. And she's very open to dowsing and stuff. So yeah, just be really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've got Shubraji. So with the first dowsing you did for us today, first of all, thank you. We should expect to show up and just stay curious.
Well, no. I did a presentation at another dowsing group and what was it? It was clean out your psychic closet. And that somebody said, now, are all our issues resolved now? And it's like, for everybody? It's like, no. It's such a process. So it's like this huge boulder you chip away at. It's not one and done. It's if you don't do the work will not show up. Like I don't do anything for anybody, but we set a stage that people can use these tools and know that they work. I mean, that's my whole mission. Here's some tools, they work if you do them. So things may show up, but they will show up faster and better if you do the work. So I'll send you the protocol, Susan@dowser.ca. I'll send you the PDF and you can do some more work.
Sally says, you mentioned food sensitivities earlier. Do you still work on these specifically, or have the various protocols helped?
The sensitivities?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was gluten intolerant. I was intolerant to salicylates, which are inert. Like my whole immune system shut down. That was before I knew Graham. It was a long time ago where, and it's like another person. And I never, at the time, I didn't take that on as my persona. It was always like, what? This is not me. So I found dosing in 1999. I was drug-free in 2005. So that took 6 years to get off all the big drugs. But I still aged. But I'm doing really well. Does that answer the question or not?
Sally, why don't you unmute and ask?
I just wondered whether you'd actually worked on the food sensitivity specifically, or whether they were a byproduct of all the drugs and the illnesses that you had.
No, I don't believe there were side effects. I actually got most of them after the birth of my second child. My immune system shut down further. So at first it was just the rheumatoid arthritis from 1982. And then in 1991, is this fair to blame my husband? My husband had a lot of food sensitivities. I got pregnant. And then, for 5 years, I was just an immune mess and went to the food, the nutritionist did the elimination diets. No, it wasn't side effects. It was just, and I think honestly, and you can dose if this is true, that the universe, or we might say God, because I had the big corporate career, I was making a lot of money. I was going to just do all this stuff. And so I got the corporate skills. I learned how to speak, how to write, how to do all these things. And then it's like, whoop, they just cut everything off. And if I hadn't gotten sick, I would not be in this world doing this work. So I invite a dose, if it's true, was where my illness is part of a master plan from the universe. I'd appreciate if somebody dosing that so that I could come out. I get a yes. Anyway, so I don't, some people say, oh, I'm so happy that happened because otherwise I wouldn't. Like I would have rather made a lot of money and all the rest of that. But it's been certainly been an adventure, and I don't regret that.
Thank you.
Julia has an interesting question. Julia, do you want to unmute?
Yeah, it was when you mentioned about frequencies, asking for the best frequency for you. In what form does the answer take? What number or whatever would is the frequency? How do we understand the level of frequency?
That's a good question. You could just dose the number. You could look at a frequency chart. And we talk in terms of hertz, like our brainwave frequencies. Okay, I have to say this in terms of frequency. Here's something that Graham would probably chime in on. But electromagnetic frequencies are generally not healthy for us. That the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth and our whole environment, the frequencies are way out of whack. So I invite folks to dose. Are the modern frequencies of telecommunications making me sick, inhibiting my cell regeneration? And if you get a yes on any of that, then, you know, Graham's got tips on this, but at least unplug your Wi-Fi at night. Don't wear Bluetooth things. Everybody does. But look at your own brainwave here. It's alpha, beta, or gamma. You know what? I'm getting right now, and I invite you to dose. Is it true that a gamma frequency would be extremely healthy to vibrate at? You know, we have Tibetan poles. I don't have one on me. Tibetan poles and things, you know, there's always that resonant. I would do it, but I won't. I think you just got to go around your house and pick up things and hit them. Ring a bell. Is this a frequency? Or humming, you know? Humming, start low. And then see what, you know, get your tool out. You know, it's very direct. It's very experiential. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
That kind of leads to the next question, which is from
Alrighty.
Alyssa. So we use our symptoms to focus our intention, then use intention along with action to create results. Would you speak to using dowsing to alleviate electromagnetic frequencies like from Wi-Fi?
Well, it's not the symptoms. It's the source of the symptoms we focus on. We don't care at all about the symptoms. Symptoms are not. So say that again, Graham. Sorry.
Alyssa, why don't you unmute and ask?
Hi. Well, I was just trying to figure out how to kind of chunk things down, you know? So it tends to be like there's a lot of stuff. So like you were saying, I think to look at a symptom, but then you're suggesting, okay, the symptom's not the important part. It's not the symptom specifically. You want to look at the source of the symptom as being, okay, that's great. I understand that. Now, another question I really have always wanted to ask with the protocol is if I'm using the protocol more generally, like I'm using it daily in the morning, say, to just kind of try to establish a ground for having a positive experience of my day or beneficial. What about, do I need to disconnect from it at some point?
Yes. And that it says that right on the PDF too.
I know it does. I know it does. So if
we disconnect from things that are no longer serving us. We don't disconnect from our spirit team and the step 8 ongoing energy systems. We let those continue.
Okay. So if I'm doing the protocol, but I'm not asking specific questions, then I don't need to do any specific disconnecting.
When you open the door to the other rooms, you always need to close it.
Okay.
Because so what would you be doing if there's no need, if there's no intention with the protocol, it's not activated somehow?
Well, no, usually with the protocol, what I tend to do is I will, you know, my intention is to go through my day in a way that, you know, is beneficial for me. So maybe this isn't a good way to use the protocol, but you talk about using it several times a day.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the protocol, but I'm not doing any specific questions using my pendulum, like my intention is more, you know, I have to work today, so I want to like kind of visualize that that's going to go well or whatever. I guess I'm really wondering about this because I know I do have a tendency to collect energy around me. So I want to do the disconnecting, but I also don't want to leave myself open to having a lot of stuff riding on my back either.
Right. So that's why you want to close it. So
right. So
when you do the protocol in the morning, you've got step 8 and you would set up, you know, best possible experiences for today on an ongoing basis. So you've got this automatic system going, and then you close the protocol. And then
Okay.
you can check in on it. But I never dose, this is just me, I never dose without being fully protected. I had a client the other day, we were doing something on her, and it seemed like the best thing, and then we hung up, and she said she gained 5 pounds in an hour, which was not what we were working on. We were not working on that. So if you have the protocol open, the intention has to be super clear. You open it, you can set up step 8, the automatic system, and then you close it for that time. But your to have a good day and excellent experiences program is still going on.
Okay. So every time I use the protocol, I should have an intention. And then I
Yeah.
can,
Yeah, because the I get so excited, but I get so excited by this, but then everybody becomes my client, right? Once you open the door, all this stuff just comes in. It's like you're a welcome mat for the extra consciousness of the universe, because it's
okay.
not specific. So I ask, for the perfect day for today on an ongoing basis and close it.
Okay.
To have only experiences that will benefit me.
Okay. And
Super
then
important.
if I want to pick up my pendulum, say, an experience has happened, plans have changed. So now I do actually need to make a choice, and using my best intuition, I want to, check if this is a good choice, how, whatever
You
that
need
would
to do the whole protocol again.
Okay. I can abbreviate a little bit at that point, or best not to.
Until you're really good at this. If you have
Okay.
an emergency, like there's a car accident or whatever, you can short form it. But honestly, until this is all automatic, do the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm tough.
That's fine. I get it. But then the other thing that I had written in my question was about electromagnetic fields and using your dowsing to alleviate the impact of electromagnetic fields
Yeah.
on.
That
Like
helps, but also physical things help. And
Well, let's say I agree, but
you know what?
if
I think we need to let somebody else in on the
okay,
chat. But
no
yeah,
problem.
and you and I will talk another time.
That's fine.
Graham, was that your phone? Okay, Marjorie, you're on.
Yeah, sorry, that was me.
Yeah.
Okay, who else have we got? We've got from Raj Priya, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Says, Mom has
Yes.
cervical spondylitis and she's 80. Where's the collar? Any additional questions to Dow's to what you have shared so far today?
Well, is it possible? I mean, I guess the first thing is she willing to take part in a self-healing exercise? If she's not, if your parent or husband or child, adult child, if they're not willing to be a participant, then it's kind of hopeless because so much of it's self-healing. So as a loving daughter or mother, you can say, oh, I learned, you can say prayers if you need to, if it's not the protocol. I learned some healing techniques. Is it okay if I do this with you? Would you like to know more about it? And if they just say no, then it's very hard to, you're violating their sacred person. Some people would rather die than help themselves. That's the whole, the hide and the reveal. It's like, and maybe you have to reveal to your loved one. It's like, mom, dad, son, whatever, you know what? I think we should talk about this more. And I think there's things that you could be doing to help yourself. And you could talk about the nutrition, the protein, in terms of the color, like, that when you wear a brace of any kind, it weakens the muscles. And, may be necessary, but, you would ask ChatGPT, are there exercises that someone who's wearing this device can do in order to strengthen in the most appropriate and gentle way, different aspects of it? So the main thing is to get the participation of the person. Otherwise, you can send blessings. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you, Susan. It's just one question, short one. She just tells me, yes, do what you want, do what you can.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
that's good. Then you would ask, and she doesn't have to be there. You would
Yes.
ask, you would say, you do the dosing call as appropriate. I approach the energy of my loved one and ask if she is willing to receive healing energy. I just got a no on that. I approach my loved one energetically. Are they willing? And there's three questions. Are you willing to receive healing energy? Do you want to receive healing energy? Are you able to receive healing energy? And if you can, you wiggle your way in, and you can ask them. You can talk to their body systems. And I always say to myself, "Dear sweet beautiful body, you are so smart. You know what to do." And you could say something like, "Do you remember a time?" And this is like to your loved one's energy. "Do you remember a time when you felt healthy?" And you go into the whole cell, like get the diagrams. And like honestly, my book is great. I have to promote that again, but I thought all kind of the
Okay,
diagram.
we'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah. You go through it and ask which body system to go through first. And you can I look at is there a belief system that when I'm this old, this is how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's choice. Change the belief systems and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, who else?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You have a good question about alongside lack of protein and health issues that this is causing. Where do you see the role of salt?
Sorry, I can't understand you.
Alongside lack of protein and the health issues that is causing, where do you see the role of salt?
Well, our bodies have salt, obviously. So you could ask, do I have the appropriate amount of salt in my body? Is it the right type of salt? Do I have too much? Do I have too little? Are the salts being absorbed correctly? There may be an absorption problem. Are the salts interfering with any other medication or food? You just start asking questions.
Rosemary Lanza has got one. This may be too big a question for this talk. Says, I'm very sensitive to Wi-Fi and I get energy through my mouse. I currently ground myself at the computer, but still have this problem. What else can I do?
Well, Graham, you could probably tell her to get a wired mouse.
Well, I would, yeah. Get wired, get rid of your Wi-Fi, switch it off at night, or find ways of doing without it. Yeah.
So there's energy things we do, but we have to do the physical things to support us, like turning off the Wi-Fi and, not having wireless everything.
These Wi-Fi energies are very strong. They're very tangible energies, So we can reduce the effect that they have on our body, but they're still there. It's like you're taking an aspirin all the time to cure your headache, but you're not addressing the cause of the problem. Yeah,
get to the source of it and do whatever you can. And if your neighbors, Graham's got a story. Turn it on to Graham. You had a downstairs neighbor who had a phone that, and you bought them a wired phone, I think, or something.
I bought them an Eco Plus phone. Yeah, because they were right underneath my bed, and I noticed when I put the meter on it, I had really high EMF readings, and it was their phone. So So yeah. Yes, what's this?
Brenda's got a good one here.
Yeah. Brenda, a grounding mat has made working on a laptop considerably less painful. Plug the ground plug into a wall socket. If I use a power bar, thought the mat didn't work, use the wall socket. Yeah. If you do have like a grounding, I have a grounding sheet on the bed, and Elspeth has a grounding mat on her computer chair. So they really do help. You need to have it plugged directly into the wall.
Graham, I think you need to reference one of your books or courses or something.
In terms of, if you look at my website, westerngenesis.org, there's plenty of stuff on there. My next course coming up on the 27th and 28th of August, I believe, does have a module on the technopathic stress.
There you go. Exactly that.
I think that was all the questions. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's us. Okay.
They are.
Well,
That's it.
I would like to shout out to my old friends, some of whom I see that I haven't seen for a long time, that my North American old friends. I'm looking at you guys, and I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate, all the societies, the North American ones, English, Scottish, whatever, that everybody coming together and sharing what they know is so important. Revealing their truth, their pain, their doubt, and just, being a community together. So I commend Graham and Marjorie for taking these steps. And Ali, you're always in there doing everything. Anyway, I'm thank you so much for the invitation to present. So.
Well, we thank you for joining us tonight, Susan. It's been a pleasure, as always. Our next speaker is going to be Dawn Kirkham from Vancouver Island. And that's going to be on the 22nd of September. That's another Monday, and it'll be at the same time. But join the Facebook group at Scottish Dowsers. I see many of you already have. So we post the event details there. And if you're registered on the website, then I will send out a newsletter with the details closer to the time. Other than that, thank you everybody for coming along tonight. This has been one of our best meetings, I think.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Susan.
Thank you very much.
Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.